There is a certain kind of afternoon in July when the wind just quits. The corn stands dead still. The flag on the neighbor's mailbox hangs like a wet rag. And if you step inside the henhouse right then, you will learn something about air. Not the temperature, the air itself. It presses on you. It bites at the back of your throat. That is the ammonia coming up off the litter. And it has nowhere to go. So it stays right there with the birds. And the birds know it. They stand with their beaks open and their wings held away from their sides like a man holding his coat open. And they do not move, because moving costs them heat they cannot spare. And it is not only the henhouse. That same dead, sour air collects in an upstairs bedroom under a hot roof. It collects in the room where somebody is laid up sick. It collects anywhere the breeze does not reach. You know the feeling the moment you walk into it. The air is used up. My name is Simon Hershberger. I am Amish and I farm in Holmes County, Ohio, same as my father did and his father before him. What I want to show you today is a small thing. It costs about $7. You can put it together in the time it takes coffee to perk. It needs no electricity at all, only water and whatever breeze the day gives you. And it does two jobs at once, which is the part that surprises people. Job 1, it takes a few degrees off the air coming into space. Job 2, and this is the one almost nobody knows, it scrubs that air on the way in. The stink, the ammonia off the litter, the musty dampness, it pulls those right out and holds on to them. And here is what ought to make you sit up. The working part of this little $7 rig is the very same material sitting inside those air purifying machines that go for $300–400 at the store. Same substance. Theirs comes in a plastic shell with a brand name printed on it. Mine sits in a pie tin. The material is charcoal, but hold on. Not the charcoal you are picturing, and I'm going to be very particular about that, because getting the wrong kind means the whole thing does nothing. I will also tell you plainly what this can do and what it cannot. Because there are people on the internet who will promise you the moon off a bag of charcoal, and I am not one of them. And there is one genuine safety rule that comes with this, and I would be doing you wrong if I left it out. So stay with me to the end. First, let us understand what is actually happening, because there are two separate pieces of old knowledge working together here. And once you see them both, you could build this thing blindfolded. The first piece is nothing new at all. It is how sweat works. When water dries off a surface, it does not leave for free. It takes heat with it as it goes. That is simply the price water charges to turn into vapor. Your body knew this before you did. A breeze across damp skin feels cool because the drying water is hauling warmth away from you. My grandmother knew it too. She kept milk cold in the spring house, where water ran past the crocks all day. And on the worst afternoons, she would hang a soaked feed sack across the open kitchen door. The breeze came through that wet sack and landed on you like a small mercy. The air is wet and the air comes out cooler. That rule has never once failed since the world began. So any wet surface with air moving over it is cooler. Fine. But why charcoal of all things? That is the second piece, and it is where this gets interesting. The right kind of charcoal is not really a solid at all. It is more like a stone made of hallways. Under a strong glass, it is tunnels inside tunnels inside tunnels, finer than anything a man could carve. The folks who measure such things say that the inside surface of one handful, if you could somehow iron it out flat, would carpet a piece of ground bigger than my barn floor. All of that surface, packed into something that fits in your fist. And all that hidden surface does two things for us. Thing one, it drinks water like nothing else and lets it go slowly. So instead of a wet rag that dries out in an hour, you have a bed of material that stays damp and keeps feeding the evaporation steadily. It is the best wet surface you will ever find for the cooling trick. Thing 2, and this is what the expensive machines are really selling you. As air wanders through all those tiny hallways, the foul stuff in the air brushes against the walls and sticks there. Ammonia sticks, odors stick. The sour compounds that make a room smell shut up and stale, they stick. The scientists call this adsorption with a D, but you do not need the word. What you need to know is that air goes in dirty on one side and comes out cleaner on the other, and the filth stays behind in the charcoal. That is the whole reason this material gets packed into water filters and into the guts of every air purifier on the shelf. So, one tray, two jobs. The water in it cools the air passing over. The charcoal itself cleans that same air. $7. Now stop and listen close, because this is where a man can waste his money. The charcoal I am talking about is called activated charcoal, and the word activated is the whole ball game. It has been treated with heat and steam in a way that opens up all those millions of little hallways I told you about. It is sold as loose black granules, about the size of cracked pepper, and the cheapest place to find it, believe it or not, is the fish aisle. It is sold for aquarium filters, $5 to $8 a bag. The garden center sells the same thing labeled horticultural charcoal, and the hardware store sells it for odor filters. Any of those will do. The word you are hunting for on the label is activated. What will not work, and I want no confusion here, is the bag of briquettes next to your grill. Briquettes are charcoal dust pressed together with glue and fillers so they burn steady. They are dense as river stones inside. No hallways, no surface, no drinking of water, no catching of stink. A tray of wet briquettes in your window will sit there doing exactly nothing while you wonder why the Amish fellow lied to you. He did not. You bought the wrong bag. Activated charcoal, loose granules. Write it on your hand if you must. Here is the build. I told you 15 minutes. Honestly, it is closer to 10. You need something shallow and wide, an old baking sheet with sides, a litter pan, a plastic underbed tote. If you like working with wood, a shallow box knocked together from scraps with a feed bag liner in it. The shape matters more than the material. You want a big flat spread, not a deep bucket, because it is the top surface the air touches that does the work. Pour in your granules an inch, maybe 2 inches deep. Deeper buys you nothing. Wide buys you everything. Now water it like a garden bed. Soak it thoroughly, give it a few minutes to take the water down into itself, and then tip the tray and drain off whatever is standing loose in the bottom. What you are after is the wrung-out sponge state. Every granule damp clear through, but no puddle. A puddle just sits there. It is the dampness in the granules, with air moving over all that spread-out surface, that turns into cooling. And now the step where nearly everybody goes wrong, so lean in. Where you put it decides whether it works. Do not set it on the dresser in the middle of the room. I know that is the natural instinct. Put the cool thing near me. But a tray in the middle of a room is like a spring in the middle of a field. The water is there, but nothing carries it to you. The cooled air just drifts up and disappears into the general muddle. Put it in the opening where the air comes in, on the windowsill where the breeze enters, in the doorway that catches the cross draft, across the vent. The idea is a toll booth. Every bit of air that wants into that room must pass over the damp charcoal to get in. When you set it up that way, you have not made a decoration. You have made a system. Every breath entering the space has been cooled a little and cleaned a lot before it ever reaches your face. If the day gives you a breeze, the breeze is your engine, and the whole rig runs on nothing. If you want more push, a small fan set to draw air across the tray will work it harder. But understand, the fan is a bonus, not a requirement. An open window on one side of the house and another on the far side, tray in the path. That has moved air through farmhouses for 200 years without a single kilowatt. That is the entire machine. Tray, bag, water, windowsill, $7 and change. Before I tell you where this shines, I owe you the safety rule, and I will give it to you straight because it is real. Use the way I have described, in a breezy window in a vented coop anywhere air is flowing through. This is as safe as a damp towel. That is the intended use, and there is no trouble in it. But damp activated charcoal is a hungry material. That is its whole talent. And in a tightly sealed, unventilated space, a large bed of it does not stop being hungry. It will slowly take up some of the oxygen out of the still air along with everything else. So the rule is, never shut yourself, a child or an animal, into a small sealed room with a big bed of damp charcoal and no airflow. No sealed closets, no shut-tight campers with every vent closed, nothing of the kind. Now notice something. That rule costs you nothing, because a sealed room is exactly where this device is useless anyway. No moving air, no cooling, no point. The airflow that makes it work is the same airflow that makes it safe. Keep air moving through, always. Open window, open vent, cross breeze. Follow that one rule, and you are right on both counts. I tell you this plainly because a man who hides the one caution from you does not deserve your trust on the rest. So where does this little rig truly earn its keep? I will be honest, it is not going to transform your living room on the hottest Sunday of the year. Where it pays for itself 10 times over is with the animals, and in the small hard rooms of a house. Think about what a henhouse is in late July. Chickens carry a body temperature hotter than ours, and they cannot sweat a drop. Everything they have is panting and holding their wings out. Once the inside of that coop pushes up toward the high 80s, they are suffering. Let it run past 100 and you can walk out the next morning to dead birds. And heat is only half their misery. The other half is the ammonia rising off the droppings, which burns their eyes and scars their airways. Any poultryman will tell you, foul air sets a flock back as sure as bad feed. Now build this. A shallow frame out of scrap lumber, faced on both sides with window screen or hardware cloth, filled a few inches thick with activated charcoal. Wet the whole thing down and stand it in the vent opening, or the gap where the breeze enters the coop. You have just made a breathing wall. Every draft that enters now arrives a few degrees gentler, which to a panting hen is the difference between misery and getting by. And it arrives with the ammonia stripped out of it, because the charcoal catches those compounds on the way through. Cooler air and cleaner air, both at once, for the price of a bag of fish tank filter. The same trick serves the rabbit hutch, where heat kills faster than most keepers realize. It serves the dog kennel, the corner stall where the lambs shelter, the milk room. And inside the house, it serves the sick room, when someone is fevered and the air needs to be mild and clean and moving. And it serves that one upstairs bedroom every old house has, the one under the roof that never cools down. Tray in the window, breeze through it, and the room breathes differently by evening. Now comes the honest part, and I would rather lose your excitement than lose your trust. The cleaning side of this, the pulling of odor and ammonia and staleness out of the air, works everywhere, in any weather, wet summer or dry. That part is iron, count on it. The cooling side has a boss it answers to, and that boss is humidity. Evaporation can only happen if the air has room to accept more water. Out in dry country, the plains, the high desert, anywhere the heat is the crackling kind, the air is parched, it rips the moisture off that charcoal, and the temperature drop is real and pleasing, several degrees, plain to feel on your face. But in a soggy Ohio August, or worse, down along the Gulf where the air is already carrying about all the water it can hold, evaporation slows to a crawl and the cooling turns modest. A couple of degrees at the intake, not a plunge. Anyone who stands in front of a camera and tells you a tray of wet charcoal will do the work of an air conditioner in Louisiana in August is not teaching you. He is baiting you. I will not do it. So set your expectations like a level. Dry climate, noticeable cooling, humid climate, gentle cooling. But the air scrubbing works full strength no matter what. And for a coop full of ammonia, the scrubbing alone is worth $7. Know what the tool is for, and it will never disappoint you. 2 chores come with it, and they are small. First, the charcoal dries out. That is literally how it cools. So it needs its drink. Every morning, 1 cup of water over the tray. 30 seconds. Skip it, and you have not got a cooler anymore, just a pan of black gravel. Second, after a month or 2 of catching smells, the hallways inside the charcoal fill up and it gets lazy. Do not buy more. Spread the granules out on a sheet pan and leave them in the strong sun for a full day. The heat drives the trapped compounds back out. You are emptying the sponge, and the charcoal comes back to work refreshed. 1 bag, watered daily and sunned monthly, will carry you from June to September. Let me close with the question you should be asking. If this is real, why has nobody told you? Look at how cool, clean air is normally sold to you. The air conditioner is sold once and then billed forever. Every hour it runs shows up on the electric bill. The purifier in the corner costs $300 or $400, and then it asks for a fresh filter cartridge every season, and you buy it, and buy it again and again. These are fine machines, I do not say otherwise. But notice the shape of the arrangement. You are never done paying. And here is the quiet part. Crack open the filter cartridge from that expensive purifier, and what do you find doing the actual work of catching odors? Granules of activated charcoal, the identical material. They pack a few dollars worth into a plastic frame, print a name on it, and sell it back to you 4 times a year, when the loose bag sits in the pet aisle for the price of lunch, and the sun will recharge it in your yard for free. Nobody advertises the tray version because there is nothing left in it to sell you. No cartridge subscription, no motor to service, no brand to put on a window breeze. The knowledge was never locked away. It just went quiet, because quiet things don't pay for commercials. The people who kept using it are the people who never stopped doing things the simple way. And I will tell you what my father told me. The simple way is the way that does not quit on you in the worst week of the summer and does not send you a bill in the fall. A man who can take the edge off the heat and sweeten the air for his family and his stock with a pie tin, a bag of black granules, and the breeze God sends. That man owes nobody a monthly payment for his comfort. That is worth more than the $7. So here is your homework before the next hot spell. Go to the pet aisle or the garden center and get a bag of activated charcoal, loose black granules $5 to $8, and leave the barbecue briquettes where they sit. Spread it an inch or two deep in any shallow tray. Soak it, drain it, and set it in the window or the vent where your breeze comes in. The toll booth, remember, not the middle of the room. Water it each morning like a houseplant. If it is your birds or rabbits you are minding, build the screen-faced frame and stand it in the coop vent. And give your animals a gentler wind through the dog days. And keep the one rule like scripture, moving air always. Open window, open vent, cross breeze, never sealed up tight. Then come tell me about it in the comments. Where did yours go? The coop, the bedroom, the barn, the camper? And you folks down south in the heavy air, report your numbers honestly, because I told you to expect it to be gentle there, and I want to know how it went. I read every comment, everyone, and what you send back from your own places is half my education. Next time, since we have been talking about the birds, I will show you the whole of it, how our family carries a flock through a heat wave without losing one. The shade, the waterers, the dust wallow, and the way we build the coop so the heat never gets a foothold to begin with. It follows right on from today. Until then, keep the air moving, keep the charcoal damp, and let the water do the heavy lifting. The old hands who worked this land before us understood the air the way we understand our telephones. And some of what they knew is still sitting in a $7 bag, waiting for somebody to remember.